and Washburn, our state's municipal university. However, we wrote into the legislation, and it was codified into law, that this tool be expanded to include all 32 publics by July 1, 2017. So you really are, first users here, early adopters. The tool 10 months from now will be so much more robust than it is now, but it does exist now, it is there, and I still think that in its current form you're going to find it useful. So what is it? This is its landing page, and you'll see at the top there's only 3, so it's a microsite built off of our original site, and there's only 3 navigations. There's About, there's Search, rather that's the page we're on now, there's About, which tells you a little bit of the history and gives all the glossary terms for all like the real kind of data geeky people of where this information comes from. And then there's a How to Use This site. And the How to Use This site, as you can see, has a second opportunity for navigation directed specifically at parents and students and counselors and mentors. So it's actually taking you to that same information, but it was an opportunity to really underscore that it's not 100% intuitive what this website is, but step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, you'll figure out how to use it. So everything I'm going to tell you and show you right now is written out on how to use this site. Okay, so what is it? So you see you've got 3 navigation options here. You've got the current, that yellow text is like invisible. Okay, you have choose an institution, you have choose a degree title, and you have keyword search. So if you don't choose an institution, you're going to see every degree program offered by every institution in the state, with the caveat that it's just the universities at this point. You can filter that to just look at Pitt State, just look at KU, etc. If you choose a degree title, that's going to be the actual degree title as decided by the university. So kind of think of it as a search in quotes versus a keyword search, which is going to look a little bit broader at, say, any degree that might have the word nursing in it, but anywhere in the word nurse, anywhere in the title. So what you do is you pick what you want to search for. So here, all institutions, biology, and the results you get back, you see the institution, the degree title, the award that's called, and the number of hours it takes to complete that program. And those little up and down arrows next to each title means you can toggle each one of those lists to sort based on which of those columns you're most interested in. And if you see to the left, you can choose up to 3 and compare them. And no, I'm like totally holding out on the good stuff. I mean, I know you're all looking at me like, I care about this because. So this is what it looks like in search. So this is compare, I'll come back to compare. Because this is the degree stats. Okay, so we spent a lot of time thinking about what to name this. And I kid you not, Football Sunday, it came back to me that all we were doing here was a stat sheet. That's all this is. Because I should back up and say, a lot of pressure on how we were going to have this conversation and not have degree attainment be simply a conversation around how much it's going to cost and how much you're going to earn. Like that just set a lot of people wrong. And so, names were being suggested like plan your future. And I was like, I'm not planning my future based on how much money. 1996 Breeze. I'm not planning my future based on how much money I'm going to make. That's just not who I am. So all of a sudden trying to figure out how do we provide this information in a neutral way that's just seen as information for information's sake, that's not overly suggesting what your passion and career and love and journey for the rest of your life should be. So I ended up naming it Degree Stats because that's what I felt like most neutrally conveyed. That's all this is. It's just a bunch of stats on this program. And what you can see here is I'll go upper quadrant, over, down, over. So upper left quadrant is the annual cost of the degree. Now this is data at the student record level that's influencing this. This is people who went through this program and graduated from this program, their real experience. So no typicals, no projecteds, no potentials, future earnings potential. Nope, this is like what the Department of Labor says their W-2 said last year. So, but back to cost. So we've got cost, and it's broken out by tuition, fees, which I think you know more than many people, often rival tuition in expense, room and board, books and supplies, and then what that total cost is, the annual. And then right under that, you see the estimated total cost over blank years. The tool's going to automatically load what those students typically experienced. But you can change it, and I'll show you in a minute how you can change it. The next box shows the annual source of investment. So here you're seeing the scholarship and grant dollars that that particular degree program's students are seeing, what kinds of loans they're taking out, and then what kind of personal investment they're making. That personal investment could be from a college fund, it could be from an outside scholarship that didn't get funneled through the school, it could be from their parents, it could be from a job, but it's not coming, is the point, from loans or from scholarships and grants. The bottom left-hand corner is their wage information. So here you see the percent of program graduates employed in Kansas today. I'm very excited to tell you we've just signed a memorandum of understanding with the Department of Labor in Missouri and have attained trend data going back to 2010 for all our Kansas graduates currently employed in Missouri. So you'll see this tool evolve by January to March, somewhere in there. And this data, along with the other places we publish percent employed and wage data, will now be expanded to include Missouri, which I know the Kansas City Metro is very excited about and Pitt State's really excited about. I think everyone will benefit from, but those two communities in particular. So here you see the percent that are at this current time employed in Kansas, and then you see their median earnings upon entry into the labor force and after 5 years. So then in the bottom right-hand corner, you have the ability to calculate your total loan debt or degree investment. The difference between those two things is whether you're talking about just the money you took out in loans or you're talking about the investment you made, which to some people, most notably the senator who wrote this legislation, it's not just the loans, but it's also the personal money that you put in. That's your investment in the degree. So how do you calculate and track your return on that investment? So there's a little radio button so it defaults as loan debt, but you can toggle it over to degree investment, and it just takes that other category into account. And then it tells you based on the number of years of repayment, what your estimated monthly payment will be and what your total, what that will represent out of your total earnings. And again, this is all based on the methodology has calculated some of these things, but the raw data itself has come from graduating students. Okay, so then I thought I would just show you it live because it's just that much cooler live, and I still have 6 minutes, so I'm doing great. So this is the site today. So here's DegreeStats. So it's ksdegreestats.org. Every state university is required to have a link to this website on the home page. They have all elected to put it in the wireframe of their site to guarantee that it appears everywhere on their website where the law requires that they have it. So ksdegreestats.org or any university's webpage will get you there as well. And it's really in the interactivity that's amazing. So I already typed in nursing just to save us some time, but see, I could have picked it from this drop down. Of course, that would limit me not to any program that had nursing identified as a keyword, but it had to be actually in the title. I could have filtered it to just look at a specific university, but I chose all. And this would maybe be a good opportunity to show you that comparison screen. So in addition to looking at the degree stats, which print lovely and are an opportunity for you to think about one program, you can say, yeah, but I really want to compare. So let's pick Emporia, Fort Hays, and Wichita. We can see these are all nursing programs, they're all BSNs. So I could have retackled that award type to get my awards grouped. If I had wanted to maybe be going after a very particular BS or a BGS, or I've learned so much about degree types doing this project, it's crazy. And then, or maybe you want to toggle by hours. But you pick what you want to compare, and then you click compare. And what it's going to do, probably in a screen that's too large to display all at once, but it took that same information from DegreeStats and it put it in columns for you. So now you're seeing a pretty different tuition story at Hayes than you're seeing at Emporia or Wichita. Interesting. But nursing at Emporia, and no, it's not too much less. Sorry, I got thrown by that one. So fees range a little bit, maybe not too crazy. Look at $1,700 to $2,100. Books and supplies look to be about consistently at $1,000, and annual cost is in the neighborhood of $15. There's some diversity in scholarship experience, right? We're seeing like 4,000 in scholarships coming over at Wichita versus under 3 at Fort Hays. You're seeing a loan debt that's pretty similar. It's not always this similar. Sometimes you can see pretty big variations between programs. And so total cost for the comparison tool has been based on 4 years. You see that big bold based on 4 years. We're so proud of the interactivity of the next page, but we had to standardize it to compare them. So we had to apples, wait, okay, let's just say 4 years, here you go. So you see cost that, I mean, it does have a $10,000 difference when you start looking at it. And this is where this type of tool can help validate a decision a student might be making about where they want to study or how they want to combine their study across institutions. And repayment, earnings, we all know how high demand nurses are, so it wasn't quite fair of me to pick a program that was this high demand in the sense that you can see a lot of variation in those earnings from someone who has gone to one program versus another. And it doesn't look like there's data available for after 5 years yet. It might be how the data is collected, but the dash there means that no data is available. It would have been a caret if it was small cell suppressed. But then by clicking on any one of these, you get to the true interactivity of this site. So one of the things we wanted to do in the spirit of this is just information was to let you actually manipulate the data to better reflect your own experience if this was really turning from simply providing historical data to you into a calculator. That said, both the net price calculator offered by that university, the federal loan repayment estimator, and the federal college scorecard, which aims to do something like this but failed miserably compared to what this really does. There's links to that all right at the bottom of the screen. But you can interact with it. So maybe we know here on screen it says 5 years. So what program are we in? So Fort Hays nursing program is estimated to take about 5 years. Maybe for whatever reason you know you're going to do it in 3.5. When you change it to 3.5, obviously your loan debt is going down. So here I'll do that again when everything's on the same screen. So we were looking at a $31,000 loan debt for 5 years. Shaving a year and a half out of that dropped it 10 grand to 21,000. So already we knew if we had to do this by law, we were going to make bells and whistles that we thought would offer other services as long as you were here on the screen. So time to degree is only going to continue to be a bigger conversation. The board meets next week. They're pursuing several goals this year. One of them is a complete audit of degree programs to see where we've exceeded 120, and if for a reason other than an accreditation one, we can get it back down to under 120. That is a 15 to finish-esque goal of saying it's not fair for us to tell you to finish in 4 years, take 15 credits now a semester and you'll get it done, and then have a degree program that goes more than 120 credits, because that math just doesn't line up. So there's a big effort under a brand new vice president of academic affairs, and she really is championing an assessment, an audit, to see where those programs need to be brought back down. But back to the tool, you've got the opportunity to change your time to degree, and you have an opportunity to change your sources of investment. So you might know that you don't have $4 grand a year to contribute. That's not happening. Maybe you're going to work, maybe you think you have $2 grand a year, so you're going to change this to 8. And so when you change your loan amount from $6,250 to $8,250, you saw that change cascade through to what experience you would have in repaying your loans. Other funding sources is really like a blank field, again, thinking about you using this as a calculator and wanting to print it out and wanting to segregate in your mind a personal investment from something else that you're calling out for yourself, that you could do it there on screen. And you can also change your earnings and your interest rate. So it defaults to assume that you're going to be earning what your predecessors have earned upon entry. But if that's not the case, you can change that. So maybe you already have a job offer. We know how high demand this field is, and that's going to obviously change. You can cascade through and change how your repayment's going to look if you're making a different amount of money than those earnings. And you can change your interest rate, obviously, because if you know your interest rate's going to be different, then we update it to be whatever the federal is. But you have an opportunity to change it there. So that's degree stats. That's my time. I hope that the data you saw, the work of the board that you learned about this morning, that those are encouraging things, that this tool seems like it has a lot of potential. I would love for you to stay in touch with me as a conduit to the board. So anywhere on the board's website where it says contact us, those emails come to me and only me. So I really want to encourage you. You don't have to know the answer to a problem to identify it. if you think that there's something that won't work in this tool today, when we start to bring the two-year sector in, flag that to our attention now. I think we've got really good people around our table. A lot of the staff at the board comes from the field, and feels very strongly about that kind of ambassadorial role. I used to be an advisor, I used to be a registrar, I used to be faculty. Like that is definitely expertise we rely on, but you know more than we'll ever be able to know. Your just experiences in aggregate are just so much more vast. So please stay in touch with us, stay in touch with me. The same place where you find those transfer feedback reports under data on our website is where you'll find my deck from today. And I'll update it in a few hours to make sure the titles carry forward in the way that I presented them to you this morning. But good luck, have a wonderful conference, and thanks again so much for inviting me to be here with you this morning.